Oh, wow. Yeah. Hey, much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Hope you like that little melody in the beginning, just to set the mood. Welcome, welcome. Appreciate everybody in the live chat. Chat. Hey, what's up? Natural by Law. Hey, check out Natural by Law's channel. You gotta check it out if you want to be natural by law. But there can only be one. Pura vida, mi gente. Shabbatah, my people, my tribes, Amarukans all over the world. The ancients waking up. Salute, salute. So we're gonna go over again another amazing find that kind of a lot of people still don't know about. I can tell a lot of people you might have forgotten or not heard of this site. So we're gonna like get it like it's the first time, and we're gonna go over what they have found here in Bernardino County, California. We got already examples of very ancient artifacts all over North America, including California. And, even going back as far as geologically, where they're being found, 200,000 years old, just like over here. So, you know, let's just look over the information again. So I got this pre-recorded. We're gonna go ahead and get into it, and we're gonna play it and do some commentary. Appreciate you guys that tuned in. Please like and share. That nobody gets a notification. Help me out. Like and share, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. All right. Skip this right here. Okay. So we'll do some further investigation on the topics that we come up with in the book. This book, again, is called American Indian Myths and Mysteries by Vincent H. Gaddis. Says a book to put beside von Daniken and Carlos Castaneda, a mind-opening exploration of the startling ancient roots and sacred powers of wizardry and prophecy. I'm going to go to chapter 1. All right, let me zoom in. Whence came the Amerindian, huh? They don't know where you came from, huh? They never do. That's what I'm saying. So anything they add is conjecture because they don't really know. Now we're going to read a little bit of this, what it's going to get into. Interesting little topic here. Brought it to my awareness, so I did some further investigation, and I'm like, wow, another site, another archaeological site in California, going back very far back. All right, I'm going to talk about it. It says here the Mojave Desert between Los Angeles and Las Vegas stretches over sandy, desolate wastelands to sterile gray and purple hills. During the summers, the 100-degree plus heat laces the dry air with shimmering waves. Nights bring a penetrating cold, and when the rare rains come, flash floods sweep down age-old riverbeds. But winter days can be sunny and pleasant, with moderate temperatures inviting the visitor to explore the trails and canyons so shrouded in timeless silence. It was on such a day in December 1948 that Rittner Salis made his great discovery. An amateur archaeologist and dairy farmer, he had been performing a survey along the Mojave River bed for the San Bernardino County Museum. He decided to climb up a grade above the dry channel to get a wider view of the area. In so doing, he found himself on a spot hallowed by eons of time. Today, the Mojave is a desert, but it was not always so. Siles was standing on the shoreline of what had been a large lake in the Pleistocene epoch. All right, a large lake. There were so many lakes there in California. all right? Large lakes. In the Pleistocene epoch, real quick, Pleistocene, what does that mean? It says it refers to an ice age, right? It's the geological epoch that lasted from about 2.5 million, right, years ago to 11,700 years ago. All right, so anywhere between that period.
All right, anywhere between that period, very ancient. Shout out to servant of the Most High. Thank you for that, brother or sister. Thank you.
Period, huh? In the Mojave Desert. There was a lake there a long time ago. A lake of blue waters, surrounded by swampy land and tall grass, inhabited by game. A lot of animals, remember? The ancient animals videos, a lot of them in California.
Yep.
All these different types of camels and horses, elephants, all that, remember? Surveyors observing the archaic water lines of the long vanished body of water had named it Lake Mannix. All right, Lake Mannix. Read a little bit about Lake Mannix today. As he walked along the crest of the rise, Salis noticed with surprise some stones. Right? What did he find? Some stones. They had obviously been chipped by primitive man long ago. They had to be. It's artificial. His weapons and his knives, man-made.
Yeah, man-made ancient oasis here, right here. You see, when there was lakes and water, and remember, at some point it was an island, so it was all water separated, right? Shout out to Millennials Best. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
These stones, they were chipped by primitive man. It was so obvious. Why? So what's the problem? Oh, we'll see. So began the Calico Mountain Archaeological project near Barstow, 3 miles from the Calico ghost town on Interstate Highway 15. The late Dr. L.S.B. Leakey, all right, so that's the guy, one of the archaeologists that went there. We're going to get what he said. Just real quick, Calico Early Man Site, all right, Early Man Site, Calico. And it says here, Lewis Seymour Bassett Leakey, archaeologist from 1903 to 1972. I guess he lived. It says in 1959, Leakey, while at the British Museum of Natural History in London, received a visit from Ruth DeEd Simpson, an archaeologist from California. Simpson had acquired what looked like an ancient scrapers from a site in the Calico Hills and showed it to Leakey. In 1963, Leakey obtained funds from the National Geographic Society and commenced archaeological excavations with Simpson. So these two archaeologists were digging up over there in Calico Hills, right, California. So D. Simpson was an important woman archaeologist at a time when the field of archaeology was still dominated by men. She was born in Los Angeles, California. She received her master's degree from the University of Southern California. In 1944, she went on to be the curator of the Heard Museum in Arizona for 2 years. She was a curator of the Southwest Museum in Los Angeles, California from 1946 to 1964. In 1964, she became the county archaeologist at the San Bernardino County Museum in Redlands, California. Although she pursued many important archaeological projects, mostly in the Mojave Desert in California, she spent much of her life working with Dr. Louis Leakey on the Calico Early Man site in Yermo, California. She was a member of the American Anthropologists Association and the Society of American Archaeology, all right? So basically what I'm trying to show is it wasn't just some regular people in Calico, right, working on this. And they said something and nobody paid attention to them. They had a lot of credit. They had a lot of good reputation. They were respected in their fields, you know, working with National Geographic and the British Museum of Natural History, where Leakey was coming from. So again, the Calico Early Man site. What does Wikipedia say? Just some common knowledge, what you can find just if you Google real quick. It says the Calico Early Man site is an archaeological site and an ancient Pleistocene lake. All right, it's from an ancient Pleistocene lake. Remember, that's between 2.5 million to 11,700,000 years ago. All right, but we're gonna see what they determined based on their archaeology and their science.
Let them know.
It says located near Barstow in San Bernardino County in the central Mojave Desert of Southern California. The site is on in late Middle Pleistocene phlagomerates, known variously as the Calico Hills, the Yermo Hills, or the Yermo Formation. Holocene evidence includes petroglyphs and trail segments that are probably related to outcrops of local high-quality siliceous rock. The Calico Early Man includes artifacts of the Lake Manix-Lithic, all right, from the lake, ancient lake. Industry found on and just below the surface at elevations greater than 543 meters or 1,781 feet. The shoreline elevation of 236 kilometers squared, freshwater Pleistocene lake, which emptied approximately 18,000 years ago. So it's at least that old. Material recovered from nested Pleistocene alluvial deposits stratigraphically beneath a 100,000-year-old soil profile, a rock ring, not a fire hearth, dated to 135,000 years by thermal luminescence. All right, that's how they dated it. You see how old they're dating these artifacts? They're talking about artifacts about 200,000 years by uranium series analysis, and about 197 plus or minus 20,000 years by surface beryllium. You see this? Like, this is what we're about to read. Okay, so that's just real quick. Calico Early Man site. So we go back in the book, and that's how they began the Calico, again, Mountain Archaeological Project with those two archaeologists. And it was about 3 miles from the Calico ghost town. There's literally a ghost town here. They kind of like, I guess, fixed it up because now it's like an attraction. It looks all nice and now and everything. But I guess there is a story there of people. It was a mining town, so a mining family town. That's where they lived, I guess, in the 1800s. So I guess they fixed up the town, I guess. You know, this is the ghost town now. They call it the ghost town. This is an older picture, I guess, of the ghost town, right? The old town. So they have kind of like fixed it up, made it look nice. Now they got shops and everything. Look at that. Look at that. So nice old, all wooden, you know, house. And again, the Calico ghost town. It's the largest silver mining camp in California, 1896 or 1881 to 1896. See that? Calico Hills. So this is where they're near here, 3 miles from here is where they're finding these archaeological, where the ancient lake was. So it says the late Dr. L.S.B. Leakey, right, the guy we just read about, renowned discoverer of the oldest known human remains at Old Dubai Gorge in East Africa. All right. Again, these are not even modern humans he found over there. Not even modern humans. Go do the study so you can see they're not modern humans.
Those are just ape bones over there. Okay? Period. Ape bones. They're not modern type humans.
They're still a little apish, unfortunately. And you would have to believe in Darwinism, right? Evolution, if you want to go with those bones. All right, but it's interesting that they sent an archaeologist who's one of their famous ones, because he was the one that determined the oldest known human remains, supposedly. Why did they send him to go see this archaeological spot right here in California? He knows something. All right, he knows, right? If he says these are the oldest, we should trust his word, right? If they trust him over there. Now he says he believed that man came to America much earlier than the period assigned by most of his fellow archaeologists.
Okay.
All right, this guy, you heard him?
The
guy who supposedly discovered, you know, the Neanderthal, Homo sapien-ish, you know, bones over there in East Africa, the oldest known human remains, supposedly. He says there was people, right? There was people. He doesn't know if they came there or they were already there, but he says he knows there was people earlier than period assigned by most of his fellow archaeologists. There was already people there, way before they're saying. He persuaded the National Geographic Society to support the exploratory excavation. He said, yo, come check this out. In California, the surface rocks and flakes were of relatively recent times, but Dr. Leakey suspected that the site had been an ancient workshop for making stone tools. Ancient workshop, making stone tools for many millennia. Who? Dr. Leakey. That's their sign. That's their main guy. I got to pay attention to what Dr. Leakey was saying. He was working with that other lady, the anthropologist, archaeologist, right? She had mad degrees too. He indicated where the first master pit should be dug. Fragments of mastodon tusk appeared at 13 feet. At 14 feet, the dedicated workers found the first artifacts buried in the alluvial soil. Implements of chalcedony, jasper, and chert that offered sharp, long-lasting cutting edges. 23 feet down, the 15-foot square shaft reached a herf of 13 boulders arranged in the form of a capital C. In the center of the semicircle, the prehistoric hunters had built fires to warm themselves. There was people there. They have evidence of it as they shipped their tools while sitting in the open space of the herf ring. Tests with the rocks that had reflected the heat disclosed they had been heated to 400 degrees centigrade on the sides facing the fire. Estimated ages range from 20,000 years for the surface artifacts to 50,000 years ago, right? Way before they said there was humans here, for the buried relics. But as the two master pits attained depths of well over 30 feet and artifacts continued to be found, they went 30 feet down and they still kept finding artifacts. So they're like, hold up, whoa, hold up, we're not done. We're not done. Surprise was succeeded by bewilderment.
Yep.
All right, who's doing this? Leaky. So I'm at the Britannica Encyclopedia online. All right, and I got the guy here. This is the guy they sent.
Leaky. All right, so you guys understand so far what's going on, right? So, you know, they're over there finding these artifacts, and already they're, you know, just from digging down a little bit, they're like, oh, this is 50,000-year-old strata, geological strata. Like, they thought they probably were done. Oh, that's a estimated guess, you know, based on their carbon datings, but they kept digging, right? They kept digging a little further down, and they kept finding more and more. Again, we're talking about very ancient people producing all these stones, right? Like these blades and weapons and all that, tools they use, right? We're not talking about ape men. We're not talking about monkeys. This is modern humans. You're gonna see they're finding. And this Leaky guy again. This is the go-to guy for the out of Africa theories. You know, this is the guy who's officially making all the bones. You know, into monkeys over there and saying that's the official history for the evolution of mankind. So then he's coming over here, right? They're using the same guy so you can know. All right. So we're up to date. Welcome if you just joined us. Okay.
To do the investigation, right? His archaeological knowledge. And I mean, this guy is pretty important in history. I mean, especially for the hijack. All right. Because again, let's read. All right. And I want you to dodge the hijack big time. We're not talking about humans when they're talking about he found something in East Africa. They're not modern humans. But let's read again. This guy was actually born in Kenya. He was born in Africa. He's, you know, his parents were there, missionaries supposedly. And yeah, he was born in Kenya. So Louis Leakey in full, Louis Seymour Bassett Leakey, also called Louis S.B. Leakey, all right, was born in Kenya, and he died in London. Kenyan archaeologist and anthropologist whose fossil discoveries in East Africa proved that human beings were far older than had previously been believed, and that human evolution was centered in Africa. All right, out of Africa, that's one of the main guys right here.
Yep.
And if you're gonna believe him, about Africa, why don't they believe him when he said he went to California and he's finding things at 30 feet below human habitation? That's way older. We're gonna see. They're gonna be talking about 100,000, 200,000 years ago. What you talking about, Africa? Yeah, that's why. Because they kind of proved yourself wrong right there.
Yep.
And again, these bones, I don't know if that's the one he's holding up. They weren't modern human. So he's saying everything started in Africa rather than in Asia, as earlier discoveries had suggested. Leakey was also noted for his controversial interpretations of these archaeological finds. All right, so we're back in the book, all right? And
so I just want to make that clear, right? So as I'm trying to explain to everybody, their whole out of Africa theories is based on Darwinism and evolution, not because they actually saying modern humans, all humans came out of there. They're saying they're finding monkey bones, the ancestors of supposed humans. These are the bones they've been finding in Africa. And this is what they teach us, and that's what they've been using. So this same guy who is part of the whole out of Africa theories is invited to come over here because now he just literally debunked himself, as I was saying, right? They're using him and he's gonna tell you, watch what he's gonna tell you he found and how old.
What he was saying, he believed that man came to America or that man was already in America. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know if they came, they don't know. They're asking the question.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows, right, that they were there in America much earlier than the period assigned by most of his fellow archaeologists. He persuaded them to go dig it up, right? Remember? So he went 30 feet below.
Mm-hmm.
So after they had already found relics and they were giving them dates of 50,000 already, but as two massive pits attained depth of well over 30 feet and artifacts continued to be found, surprise was succeeded by bewilderment. Dr. Thomas Clemens, retired chairman of the geology department of the University of Southern California and project geologist, believes 100,000 years is the maximum age of the site. He's giving it up to 100,000 years. That's humans in California. Like, look, this is important people. Chairman of the geology department.
Okay.
And then Leakey. All right. This is important stuff they never told us. They didn't even want us to even think about this stuff.
Nope.
More than 100 scientists. All right. From all parts of the world. 100 scientists from all parts of the world attended the Calico International Conference.
Yep.
Looking into that at the San Bernardino County Museum in Bloomington, California in October of 1970. 1970. And read from this article real quick. It says here, UC Merced, Journal of California and Great Basin Anthropology, papers on California prehistory 2. And this is the publication date, 1989. And I'm going to go down here. It says, again, papers on California prehistory 2. Salinas, Coyote Press, Archives of California, reviewed by A.B. L. Caesar. It says this volume includes 3 papers by Keith Dixon, Joseph and Kerry Shartkoff, and William Wallace, in that order. Dixon's paper, Archaeology and Geology in the Calico Mountains. Results of the International Conference on the Calico Project is reprinted from 1970 newsletter of California State University, Long Beach. It appears in the present collection, no doubt, was based on initial limited distribution of a carefully balanced report of an important international meeting at San Bernardino in October of 1970. It's the international conference we just read about. The conference was attended by an usually impressive group of Paleolithic archaeologists and geologists, literally from all over the world. Japan, Siberia, Africa, Europe, and the Near East, with LSB Leakey, all right, that guy, the leading sponsor, being the most well-known on the list here presented, all right? He was the most well-known, in the world? That's the guy who said, hey, man, they've been there that long.
Yep.
Despite the eminence of the group and perhaps expectations of definitive conclusions on the dating of the site and its allegedly man-made lithic tools, Dixon was not able to present an entirely favorable picture of the Calico site as the earliest representative of human occupation in the New World. He emphasized meticulous excavation techniques of the group led by Ruth Simpson, and certainly did not write off the site as unprovably ancient, all right? He doesn't know. He says, I don't know. I'm not sure. They couldn't prove them wrong either. Or the tools as made by nature. He was like, definitely not made by nature. They looked man-made. Moreover, he made cogent suggestions as to the direction future research should take regarding analysis of the site and its contents. Unfortunately, almost 20 years later, the original proposals regarding the age and tool associations have not been widely accepted. Listen, this is important. This is why I'm doing this video, so you guys can know.
Wake up.
They actually gave this site a date and all these tools, and they didn't accept them. These were really scholarly people, leaders in their field at that time. Same people that are saying the out of Africa stuff over there, right?
So you guys listening? Like, this is really like big, and they literally hid this from everybody. Like, and they didn't accept the dating that these professionals, same professionals they use for every other dating that has nothing to do with America, but they try to, when they try and prove their fake history, same people they use for, to conclude and write the books and write history. they don't want to accept them over here because they found something here in California that precedes all their fake history. Okay? Listen to the date. This is official. Pay attention.
Again, unfortunately, almost 20 years later, the original proposals regarding the age and tool associations have not been widely accepted, and neither of the recent summaries, 1984, of California Archaeology by Morado and J.L. and K.K. Sharkoff, is the Calico site given much more than a dubious status. Meanwhile, Simpson in 1989 has reported a uranium series date of 200,000 years as a suggested date of early human occupation of the site. Early human occupation, 200,000 years in California.
Okay, do you guys understand? That was literally using the same test they use over there in Africa to date things and wherever else in the world, but they don't apply here. It doesn't apply here. We're talking about 200,000 years old. That's what their test is saying. And then not only the test, but then the geology, the strata is being found in. It's very deep. And the geologist lane, you said it, we read it already. They're giving it a maximum of 100,000, but it might be older. So whether you want to, take that as a day, because I know people try to, with the whole Bible thing, 6,000, and remember that to the Most High one day, no, to the Most High, one day for the Most High is 1,000 years to us, all right? There might be something into that. But let's continue. You guys see how big this is, right? You guys paying attention or that much? Because you guys are not chatting, but I like that when you're paying attention like that. No trolls is good always, no trolls. Let's go. All right, we're rewriting history. America's the true old world. Pay attention. This is real scholarly stuff here. Nobody's reading Wikipedia.
Supplementing the 1970 estimates based on geological data. The difficulties of accepting this date together with what may be considered negative arguments regarding the nature and dating of the tools.
All right, so the uranium test matches the geology. The geologists, first time archaeologists and geologists are agreeing on something. They never want to agree. You guys are this is big.
In his work with angle platforms, would seem to place the Calico material in an even more questionable position than it was in 1970 when Dixon wrote. Nevertheless, Simpson and others appear undaunted and continue the defense of the Calico project, presenting copious data of the lithic material which, whatever the dating, appears tantalizingly similar to certified man-made objects.
Okay.
It's the same, but they're not accepting it, you see? I'm going to read from this article real quick. It's called On the Nature and Antiquity of the Mannix Lake Industry by Douglas B. Bamford and Ronald I. Dorn. This is again from the Journal of California and Great Basin Anthropology, Volume 10, Number 2, 1988, from pages 209 to 226.
All right, and you see the copper-colored Indian right there of California? All right.
I'm going to read a little bit of this article again. These are the authors: Department of Anthropology, University of Nebraska, Lincoln, that's his guy, and Ronald Dorn, Department of Geography, Arizona State. It says the antiquity of human occupation in the New World undoubtedly is one of the major unresolved cultural historical problems in North American prehistory. They don't know, right?
They don't know.
Anything they tell you again is conjecture.
Yep.
They've been telling you for years that it's still unresolved.
So how you gonna say we don't know when they got here, but then you want to give us a date and a way, and they came from the Bering Strait around this time, and then they did that, and but you don't know. Every time you say you don't know, that's what you're always telling us, that you don't know.
All right, they've been telling you for years. These are real archaeologists, real scientists. On the one hand, a dominant position with a long history in American archaeology. Wilson holds that human beings arrived in the New World at the close of the Pleistocene, no longer than 12,000 years ago, and that Clovis site represents the oldest occupation in the Americas. All right, so that's the false story we've always been getting.
Yep.
We've already debunked the Clovis thing. I mean, Graham Hancock debunked them. We've already found so many different sites, right, older than that, 12,000 years ago. They're finding them all over the place now. On the other hand, a less widely accepted school of thought sees a variety of evidence for human occupation in the Americas well back into the Pleistocene, with dates ranging from 19,000 before the present, like 20,000 years ago, at Meadowcroft, Rochester, Pennsylvania, to 32,000 at Boqueiro, the Sitio de Pedro in Brazil, and to at least 220,000 before the present. And where? Calico Hills in California. 220,000 years ago in California, human habitation, all right? Another scholarly journal letting you know there's a whole bunch of people, all right? The whole conference, that international conference, what they basically determined. Unfortunately, much of the debate between these two positions is characterized by preliminary research reports, hasty examinations of sites, a near absence of published data, and unsystematic and incomplete analysis. This is particularly true when the debate is over claims for early occupation in Southern California, a region that has produced more purportedly early material than any other part of North America. So again, check out my video I did on the Calavera skull from California. All right, this is old. They're telling you they've been finding bones there this whole time. The whole time. In the Pleistocene, man, in America, Pleistocene, millions of years ago, Calavera skull, the Calavera skull. Check out my video on that. All right, part 16, Untold Ancient American Truth. So again, this is particularly true when the debate is over claims for early occupation in Southern California, a region that has produced more purportedly early material than any other part of North America. All right, so this article kind of breaks down all the proof they had and everything, and the measurements they did. I just want to read to you the two main hypotheses, right? The two major hypotheses, the two basic hypotheses, as it says here, summary and conclusions. Two basic hypotheses can be defined in the debate over the Manistee Lake industry. The first, championed by Simpson, holds that certain isolated artifacts found embedded in desert pavements above the 1,780-foot shoreline of Pleistocene Manistee Lake represented late Pleistocene lakeside human occupation, very old, man. The second, most explicitly framed by Glennon, holds that these artifacts are quarry debris found on desert pavements, fortunately above the 1,700 feet level, and that embeddedness as pavement is no guarantee of great antiquity. All right, so that's the only argument. They're saying if they're not man-made, then they're just like pieces of rock from Corian. This is little pieces of the Corian, and that's not true. If you guys really go look at the artifacts, they are man-made. That's not even debatable. So they automatically lose. They automatically lose this argument. You see, that's their only argument. They're man-made. So they're trying to prove they're not man-made. That's their only argument because they were found in these deposits that are very old. That's here, Calico Redux, artifacts or geofacts. Christopher Harddocker, Earth Measure Research. On closer inspection, Calico does not appear to be a natural rock crushing geofactory. It's not from natural causes. It's not pieces of them mining. Nor is it the case that Calico is bereft of definite and repetitive artifact types. Most tool types are either unifacial, included notched specimens, or bifacial in nature. Hundreds of them, and delicately notched perforators, re-immersed gravers. There are dozens of artifact types and subtypes represented, and there are thousands of flakes and tool types without cortex and with multiple flake scars. After review of the controversy, tabulated data are presented. This paper reports on the findings from an examination of over 70,000 fractured subsurface lithic specimens from SBCM 1508, the Calico Early Man site, located just east of Barstow, California. The fractured material are shard, chalcedony, agate, jasper, and other siliceous varieties from medium to high quality. Okay, so they're breaking it down what they're finding there. They're saying it's not natural, right? All right, continue a little bit further. So the oldest accepted Paleo-American finds in the Mojave Desert were all surface artifacts. Calico's 5 feet by 5 feet units were going down 20 feet in a dead fan. Tensions were high. A conference held in 1970 resulted in a hung jury and thoughts that the site's age might be 500,000 years old. Such an antiquity, 500,000 to 100,000 years for a New World site, was simply too extreme at the time. In 1973, Science published C. Vance Haynes' critical article that effectively, though hypothetically, dismissed Calico's collection from serious attention. Haynes listed a number of agencies capable of fracturing chert at the outcrop source of the fan materials during transport and posed depositionally The article is persuasive because it describes a highly dynamic geological scenario to the alluvial fan building process at Calico. With all those forces in play, nature could just about make any kind of simple tool for imaginable, even bifacially flagged edges and delicate backs. So they're saying something in 1973 published that was going against trying to disprove it, that it was natural. Basically, they used all kinds of geological explanations to try to say how these things that are so looking man-made, right? They're so man-made. We can see their knives and all this stuff and tools. They try to explain how they were made by nature. So the guy's making fun of him, saying, man, well, when you grab the forces in play, all those forces, when you're describing, nature can make anything that you can imaginable, even by facially flaked edges and like it begs. The continuing absence of spearheads and human bone apparently clinched for hence the non-artificial nature of the assemblage. Most, if not all, the professionals with curious eye on Calico after 1970 conference turned away when the article was published. Few felt confident enough about their lithics acumen to stake their careers on this perceived avalanche of fractured stone. Leakey had passed away in 1972, so that was a year after Leakey. Leakey was the one saying, no, man, it's old, 200,000 years old, and therefore could not rebut Haynes. So everybody went with Haynes' theory. Instead, the entire affair was left in D. Simpson's capable lap, but with no funding and academic support virtually gone. So I want to go a little bit more ahead. I recommend you guys look for this article online and read it. Just want to read the concluding statement. He broke down all the inconsistencies when they're trying to debunk this. Like, they just make no sense. They're just trying to say it's natural. They have no real proof. So it says here, concluding statements. This has been a survey of the issues and controversies surrounding the Calico Early Man site, and a report on highly preliminary data garnered from classifying the specimens from Master Pits 1 and 2. The combined indications tend to favor an archaeological identity for the Calico collection. You gotta understand, there's over 70,000 artifacts they got, and many of them could be easily seen, as it says there. If there is another spot on Earth that produces fractures like this naturally, it needs to be identified. They're saying, show me another place on the Earth that has so many artifacts that look man-made that you're saying are so natural. Where else are you finding this in the world that you're concluding that off? Conversely, there are thousands of pieces. Out of the 70,000, there are thousands of pieces that could easily be accepted as artifacts anywhere you have Pleistocene archaeology, except Calico.
So basically, like they find all these flints and things that are definitely man-made, or somebody, chipped away, made like a blade, a knife, whatever, a tool. Same ones you'd be finding in the same. They're saying in Europe, when they try to say, oh, we found these flints and all that in Europe and everything, and they, oh yeah, these are man-made. But when they find them here, and I'm showing you these images, I'm showing you all from Calico. All these flints I'm showing you are all from Calico. So these are the scientists telling you, how could they accept everything else but not the ones in the Calico? Because they would rewrite history, guys. You're paying attention. I hope you guys understand how important this is. This is kind of why, kind of wanted to re-record this and play this for you again today. Get it like it's the first time. A lot of people still don't know. I asked them, you ever heard of Calico? They don't know. No, okay. So it shows me that we need to go over it again, so it can be used a lot more and be put into the studies, and it can help rewrite narratives and false stories, of origins and stuff like that.
Basically, what he's saying is, you can find thousands of these same artifacts that you find in Calico, California, and places where they accept, old ages, like in Africa and Asia, and a site over there, and they'll say, oh yeah, that's Pleistocene, yeah, that's man-made, but not in California, right? Because why? America's not supposed to be that old, right? Not here, but we've already proven this is a true old world. This is just another one, icing on the cake, more coming out of California. All right. You guys got to follow up on this. This is true. I'm telling you, they did the conference. They couldn't prove them wrong. The guy who was sent over there, Leakey, proved it with science. This is 200,000 years old. They found it in depths of 30 feet. Okay, 200,000 years old. 220, he gave the date. All right. So everywhere except Calico, Calico Early Man site, Mannix Basin, Yermo, California, 100 to 200,000 before the present. Calico Early Man Archaeological Site, 50 miles northeast of Barstow, California, in the Calico Hills of the Mojave Desert, is considered to be a knapping station or workshop. Virtually all tools and their bittage are of fine-grained siliceous materials, including chalcedony, chert, jasper, freshwater limestone, and petrified wood, with chert and chalcedony predominant. Tens of thousands of lithic specimens have been found at the site. The site is dated between 100,000 and 200,000 before the present, years before the present. Again, due to the early dating, there has been an ongoing debate about whether or which objects are artifacts as opposed to flaked by geological processes. All right, geofacts or nature facts, for example. There's also debate about the degree to which site strata are secure or mixed, although scientific dating seems to show consistently old dates. Clearly older is the Lake Mannix lithic industry. Clearly older, right? Including artifacts found on and just below the surface at elevations above 543 meters, the shoreline elevation of Pleistocene Lake Mannix, which drained approximately 18,000 years ago. Artifacts of the Lake Mannix lithic industry exhibit rock varnished patinas on both their buried and exposed surfaces and are often found embedded in desert pavements. Unlike the younger artifact assemblage, R. Schlemon, 1978, assessed an age for this Lake Mannix lithic industry based on soil profile as OIS 5 Sagamon interglacial, 110 to 130,000 years ago. He dated it that as a scientist. This is supported by recent dating based on the age of the sediments containing the stones, dated by thermoluminescence of 135,000 years before the present. The Benham and 1998. All right, go look it up. Thermoluminescence dating of sediment from the Calico side, California. Cal 1. Quaternary TL surveys, Nottingham, UK, and by U series on sediment adherent to a chalcedony core of 200 plus or minus 20,000 years, right? So 220,000 years before the present. And you can look that up with Bischoff, JL, and RJ Schlemdom, TL, QRD, Simpson, RJ Rosenbauer, and F.E. Budinger Jr. in 1981. A lot of scientists. Uranium series and soils geomorphic dating of the Calico Archaeological Site, California. All right, those are the sources. Look it up, guys. So I'm going to show you some of the artifacts they found there. It says, this is one of them, says Louis Leakey named this type of tool the Calico Cutter, bifacial shopping and cutting tool from Calico Master Pit. All right, so let's go look at it. All right, again, these are man-made. This is not natural. It's literally cut. All right, so this was found 2.9 meters below the surface. This is what he was calling the hand axes picks, items identical to Paleolithic picks and hand axes collected from Calico site excavation. All right, so you guys can take a look. These right here are chalcedony or chalcedony blades from Master Pits 1 and 2 at the Calico Archaeological Site. All right. These are some other ones right here. And it says these are multifunction scraper or blade, chalcedony or chalcedony blade with a narrow ventral bulb scar at right. All right, again, these are all from Calico, right? They're saying these are all natural. That's what they're trying to say, that all these are natural. Thousands and thousands of this they found. All right. And this is the bladelet cores, chalcedony cores from which narrow bladelets were struck, found at depths from 1 to 5 meters below the surface in Master Pits 1 and 2. No natural force could remove sequences of elongated flakes without battering the remaining edges. Okay? Look at this. This is not natural. We got some more right here. All right. It says piercings or boring tools, a selection of piercing or boring rotation tools, engravers recovered from the Master Pits of Calico site. Piercing. Look at that. This is another one right here. Big one. It says this is the beaked graver showing flaked scars, full dorsal view of 3 centimeters beaked unifacial graver. Detail of working tips shown in next image. Says no natural process could remove flakes in such a patterned manner. Okay? This is not natural. This is not natural.
Look at that. Look at that. Come on.
Here's another one. Very pointed here at the top again. And they made it shaped like that. Says this small, finely worked, symmetrical black shirt graver has been created by the sequential removal of dozens of flakes in a patterned manner. The ventral side is a smooth flake bolt found in cemented reddish tan sands at the depth of nearly 4 meters in the lower Yermo formation. There is no possibility that this object could be a geofact produced by natural geologic processes. There is no possibility. Stop lying to the people. Just because people don't do the research on their own. Go look at it with your eyes.
You guys understand? They try to say this was natural because they wanted to write it off. They're finding this in deposits that are very, very old. Man-made tools. Not monkey man-made tools. You get what I'm saying? Man-made. Ancient Amada Khans. Yeah. Possibly the first stone workers. Understand?
This is not natural, guys. Got some more right here.
Look at that.
Reamer fashioned from flake, coated with powdered aluminum to accentuate morphology. What? With aluminum. Wow. Coated aluminum, they made this. Come on. Got another one right here. Crescent-shaped chopper scribble showing bifacial flaking and blunted black edge, a definitive tool type in Asia. So this is accepted in Asia, but it's not accepted in California because it's too old there. We got another one right here. Okay. And it says crescentic chopper of chalcedonic jasper from depths of 6.8 meters and master pit 2. This says here a definitive chopper subtype in Asia known as a scribble. So this is also accepted in Asia, but not here in California. They're also saying that this might even, they made it look like a bison. So some more scabbro-like crescent choppers. All right, again, all these are accepted in Asia. Here's another one right here. All right. And another one here. See how it's shaped. Notched scraper, work side of unifacial chalcedony flake, unofficially prepared multi-purpose scraper from a depth of 4.3 meters below the eroded surface of Yermo Farm. There is overall flaking on the dorsal side. The concave working edge is retouched and shows signs of use wear. All right, this is another example right here that they found in Calico. And it's interesting because this one right here, they're going to show you, it actually has the sign, supposedly has a mammoth. The other ones were supposed to look like mammoths. This is an example what they're saying. There's like I guess this is the trunk and the head. And
guys, see?
All right, so they're saying it's a mammoth. And a lot of these flakes are supposed to be art, or what they call in Paleoart interpretation. But this is a multi-purpose flake tool, jasper flake with bifacial face flaking, including long ribbon flake scars on both sides. A multi-purpose tool with retouch and denticulate margins that show use wear. All right, they found this about 3.3 meters below the surface.
Okay, you guys understand, man? Like, there's inscriptions or drawings on them. Even drawings, paleo art on these tools that they're trying to say are natural with inscriptions on them. All right, wake up. Remember who you are.
Look at this. Another tool right here. Okay. 2 Calico convex scrapers. Jasper flake with bifacial flake, flaking including long ribbon flake scars on both sides, a multi-purpose tool with retouch and denticulate margins that show use wear. Okay. And again, they're saying there's a mammoth here. It almost does look like this is a mammoth, the ear, the body, and the eye, and the trunk coming down. That's amazing. Look at that. It says tentatively based on the photo, I suggest the scraper on the left has a blade-like removal intended to create a resemblance of the entire piece to a mammoth. The blade removal representing the trunk. All right, look at that. Wow.
So it's interesting because, you know, like we got the Huejotlalco site that's over 200,000 years old as well in Mexico. They also found a bone with literally, which you can see clearly, a drawing of a mammoth. And then I think that we had another example somewhere in North America. I forget where, in the mounds. but they had it. This is what I'm saying. So this is the same thing. So it was like a thing to inscribe mammoths for some reason. They were doing it. Okay.
So that was just a few couple examples of what they found there. Yeah, so this is a controversial subject. You know, a lot of controversial sites cover it, but it actually, I wanted you guys to know it was actually a real investigation done by real important anthropologists. I mean, the number ones in their field, man. I'm talking about the guy who proved supposedly that everybody came out of Africa, right? Same guy. So we're gonna believe that. Why not believe when he's saying this is 200,000 years old, human occupation? Says here, one of the strangest and most controversial archaeological sites in North America is the Calico Early Man site. It is located midway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, and more exactly, just outside the town of Barstow in San Bernardino County in the central Mojave Desert of Southern California. Right, and they have another picture right here of some flints they found there. Calico Early Man, 200,000 years old. Look at that. These are 20,000. They're saying these are 200,000. Look at this one right here. That's not a natural. Man, these are, yeah, a lot of human touch. This is some of the picture of the site here. It's an ancient lake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the Calico Early Man site one of the most overlooked and important ancient sites in North America? In 1942, amateur archaeologists discovered what they believed to be primitive stone tools in this area, but were the tools made by humans or through typical geological process? All right, so again, they've already proven it to be human. A lot of that stuff cannot be made by nature. Thousands of rocks that bear strong resemblance to prehistoric tools have been found at the site. The fragments were embedded in the sediments of the shoreline of an ancient Pleistocene era lake called Lake Mannix. A stone from the master pit had been dated to over 200,000 years before the present. However, several scientists point out this date could have been the result of the contamination from other elements in the soil. All right, so now they don't want to give it, even though their own test proved it to be that old, right? Their own test. But because it's in America, like, no, it can't be that old. No, don't let them know. No, can't tell them the truth. America's a true old world.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the oldest land?
Mm-hmm.
Laurentian Mountains.
Yep. Remember,
Dr. Louis S. Biliki, a Kenyan paleontologist and archaeologist, considered the Calico Early Man site to be of great archaeological importance, and he studied the area. According to Dr. Biliki, thousands of artifacts found in this barren desert environment were eerily similar in appearance and manufacture to those he found in Africa. This striking similarity intrigued and mystified him. Dr. Leakey was in many ways a remarkable scientist. His first important African discovery in 1948 was the skull of Miocene hominid, all right? A Miocene hominid, not human, modern humans, all right?
Monkey.
Which he named Proconsul africanus.
Monkey.
Today it is believed that this ape-like creature is not human. I told you. That's not the oldest human. They lied to you. That's what everybody is using and going off to come with their out of Africa theories. Yep. It's an ape-like creature.
Apes.
Is that what you are?
Monkey.
You believe in evolution?
Monkeys.
It lived from approximately 23 to 14 million years ago and was likely a common ancestor of both humans and other primate species and monkeys. Most of Dr. Leakey's significant discoveries were found in northern Tanzania at Olduvai Gorge. This area is particularly rich in fossils because of its unique geological history. Right? So we got his history again. He was very credited, basically. So if you're gonna believe him with that, even though that's not even humans, if you're gonna believe him with that, why not believe him when he's telling you it's 200,000 years old?
Yep.
200,000 years old. Man-made artifacts. And we're back in the book American Indian Myths and Mysteries by Vincent H. Gaddis. This is Dr. Leakey's investigation, right? Dr. Leakey, right here, suspected that the site had been an ancient workshop for making stone tools for many millennia. Now let's go back to where we left off. We were talking about the Calico International Conference at San Bernardino County Museum, all right, where they listened to lectures and examined the evidence, the astonishing depths of which artifacts had been found, plus the nature of the soil, has led some geologists to believe that 200,000 to 500,000 years is more probable estimates, all right?
Body bag for the illusion. All right. Shout out to Drop, man. All right. You guys, the Calico International Conference, 100 scientists from all parts of the world are telling you this. Are telling you this. Believe that 200 to 500,000 years is more probable estimate. There, 200 is the minimum. That's what Alex Tex was saying, maybe older.
More probable estimates. And you see this one, that's a footnote. You can go to the back of this book and see the source. All right, that happened. That was in Calico International Conference, 1970. A date of approximately 50,000 years for man in Southern California was confirmed in 1974. In 1929, the late Malcolm J. Rogers, a former director of the Museum of Man, Balboa Park, San Diego, discovered a skull, jawbone, ribs, and other bones at two sites in Del Mar and La Jolla near San Diego, preserved by the long discarded clam and mollusk shells that had surrounded them. The remains had been exposed by erosion. Early in 1974, an age of 48,000 to 50,000 years was announced by Dr. Jeffrey Bada of the Scripps Institute of Oceanography, La Jolla, after using a new technique of bone dating that he had developed. Primitive camp debris has since been recovered from the sites. The skull is on public view at the museum. To the surprise of the scientists, the skull does not resemble those of ancient Americans of the Northwest, Eskimos, or the Mongoloid people of Asia. Nope, it's not Mongols, but more closely resembles those of an early race of man in Japan. Are you talking about the Ainu people?
Yep.
So you're saying it actually resembles the Ainu people more than the Eskimos? Okay. These ancient Americans from Southern California.
Red paint people?
According to Dr. Spencer L. Rogers, scientific director at the museum, Dr. George Carter of Texas A&M University, who had requested the re-examination of the bones, has insisted that the real antiquity of man in America was on the order of magnitudes of 100,000 years. And the sources there, you can look it up. Soon after this discovery, Dr. Sheldon P. Applegate, Associate Curator of the Los Angeles County Museum of Natural History, announced the finding of evidence that man was in Mexico 50,000 years ago. A large number of obsidian and flint implements were found in fossil beds of that age at the southern tip of Baja California. Even older artifacts may have been discovered on America's East Coast. Dr. Bruce E. Ramesh, professor of anthropology at Harvard College, Oneonta, New York, reported in 1970 finding primitive tools along a 10-mile stretch surrounding a creek in eastern central New York. Various studies of the molded clay, quartzite, and silicified limestone tools, together with the weathering profile and age patina, have set their age at a minimum of 70,000 years. Minimum. Again, yo, everybody, listen. Minimum. These are things they never told you in school, and you can follow up on all these.
In New York.
70,000 years.
Remember the oldest forest, the oldest trees, the oldest land. Where is all that? Very close to what they're talking about right now. The oldest forest, right? Remember? The oldest roots of a tree found too. Man, all this in the same area. In New York, right there, right?
Right? Of human, at least there, in that place, minimum. There's a source for that. This book has sources. Trust me, verify what he's saying. More and more evidence currently being discovered supports the great antiquity of man in America. And a battle may be shaping up between the geologists and the anthropologists. All right, there's a battle. They got their own little battle. These geologists and anthropologists. You hear that?
I told you, they never really agree because the geology never matches their fake archaeology. But in this case, when it came to Calico, they were agreeing. The uranium tests, 200,000, and then the geology, the depth that was being found, the strata, same. They were agreeing.
Over the antiquity of man, antiquity of how old you are in America. In a report to the Geological Society of America, 3 scientists said they had uncovered evidence indicating man had been in Mexico as long as 250,000 years ago. Okay, Dr. Roald Fresnel of Washington State University, Dr. Harold E. Maldy, and Virginia Steen McIntyre, both of the U.S. Geological Survey, explained they had dated by several independent methods a number of stone tools found in an ancient Mexican river bed.
Okay.
Continuing in the book further ahead, it says, nevertheless, the oldest and most advanced civilizations were in South America. All right? They're telling you right here. What? The oldest and what? Most advanced civilizations were in South America? A vast antiquity here is evident in the ruins under the lava flows and at Lake Titicaca. Here, the mysteries of countless ages await the study of skilled minds, and Latin American scientists who have led in the research are appalled at their own ignorance, and the trail of the totems is northward. Perhaps the belief of an ancient birthplace for man arises from known history, but there is a vast unknown history. Unknown history, the truth about America, right? What part are we on? Man's oldest remains to date were found in Africa. They're talking about that monkey ape, that ape-like monkey. They're talking about that. That's what they're talking about. That's not a human. They haven't found anything over there. That's a monkey.
Yep.
If a man does have a terrestrial birthplace, it could be somewhere on the slopes of the Andes.
Okay.
On the Argentine Pampas or in the Amazon basin.
Are you guys hearing what the scientists are saying? And they never told us. Many scientists were saying, many archaeologists, many geologists were saying this. Anthropologists were saying this. If anything, it should be in South America, in the Andes, or here, or Argentina, or in the Amazon, or not over there.
There were migrations from the east, west, and north. These new arrivals may have found man already here.
Already.
There was already people here.
You've been here.
There was people here from all over the place they came. But there was already people here. The red man then would truly be the Native American. All right. So whatever they mean, copper-colored man, untold centuries ago.
Okay. Okay. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to probably get into the conference that they had, the Calico conference, and see their reports and just see what they concluded. Like, let's get the specifics on that. I'm probably going to do a video on that eventually. But I hope you understood and see what they've been hiding from us. Do you guys see more and more how many things I've shown, throughout the years? Because this is like clips from very old videos that I had. So I put it together. So, just forget it like it's the first time. All right, just on Calico. So you guys see, this is what they've been hiding, man. And they want us to just look at, monkey bones and stuff on the other side. And, that's the whole point. Like, we gotta snap out of that. We've shown so much. All right. This is right here. This is official. This is not no conspiracy. That we read anything like that today saying, oh, people, this is no, it's official. They just don't want to accept it. They didn't want to accept it, and they didn't tell anybody that they didn't accept it. They don't tell us about this stuff. They don't tell us about this stuff at all. Okay. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna give you your night back since it's 12 a.m. on the East Coast, but it's only 9 a.m. on the West Coast. But appreciate everybody that tuned in the live chat. All right, that's what's up, Natural by Law. That's what's up. Thanks, man. Check out Natural by Law's YouTube channel. He's on the chat. You can just click on his name, it'll bring you. Check out. He got a lot of wisdom for you. All right, check it out. Drop Nation be the realest. Drop Nation be the realest. Okay. Yeah. Much love and respect, guys. We did it again. We did it again. And another one. And another one. Hold on, let me get something ready here. And another one. We're going to go out with a banger here. Song 25 is called Dodge the Hijack. It's the Quetzalmeo mix. It's the Quetzalmeo mix, all right? Shout out to Science with the Quetzalmeo mix. All right, America's a true old world. How much more do we have to show? You see how the other day we had 500 people on the other video. Today, where's all the trolls today? Oh, he's showing facts and other stuff I can't even debate. I can't even hate on this. I can't even hate on this. Hey, it's all good, man. We got love for everybody. Come with respect. We give you respect. Come with that hijack. You get kicked out the door. All right. Wow. Yo, what's up, family? I see y'all on the live chat. Thanks for coming through. Much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Wow. Yo, shout out to Science. Oh, wow.